The atmosphere inside the studio was electric, buzzing with anticipation. The View had landed a major guest, Meryl Streep. The crowd roared as she walked on stage, her signature elegance and warmth radiating with every step. Dressed in a sophisticated cream-colored blouse and navy trousers, she looked every bit the Hollywood icon that she was. The co-hosts greeted her with excitement, particularly Whoopi Goldberg, who had shared the screen with Streep years ago in the past. For a moment, it seemed like it would be a cordial, even joyful reunion. But beneath the smiles, tension simmered. The show began smoothly. Meryl was there to promote her new film, a powerful historical drama that tackled themes of injustice, resilience, and truth. She spoke passionately about the process, the depth of the characters, and how the story resonated in today's world. The co-hosts listened intently, throwing in the occasional question or praise. Then came a shift in tone. Joy Behar, never one to hold back, brought up a politically charged subplot from the movie and asked Meryl her views on its real-world parallels. "I think it's important for artists to reflect the times we live in," Meryl began. "But I also believe we shouldn't be expected to carry the banner for every issue. Sometimes, the art speaks louder than the person behind it." It was a measured response, but Whoopi leaned forward, her brow slightly furrowed. "But Meryl, don't you think that's a bit of a cop-out?" she asked. "You've got the biggest platform in the world. People listen to you, not just because of your movies, but because of who you are." The air in the studio suddenly thickened. Meryl paused, trying to keep her composure. "I understand the responsibility that comes with influence. But I'm not a politician. I'm not an activist. I'm an actress. I tell stories. That's my contribution." Whoopi didn't back down. "But that's not enough anymore, Meryl. Look at the world we're living in. Silence, even polite silence, can look a lot like complicity." The exchange wasn't loud or aggressive, it was calm, but it carried weight. The rest of the panel sat frozen, caught between two Hollywood titans on opposite sides of a philosophical divide. The studio audience watched in hushed fascination, many holding their breath. "I don't think it's silence," Meryl said, her voice still controlled but firm. "I think it's nuance. There's a difference between choosing not to scream and not caring. I care deeply, but I refuse to be bullied into becoming someone I'm not, even for a good cause." Whoopi gave a slow nod, her tone sharpening just a touch. "That's a nice sentiment, but it's easy to say when you've never really risked anything. Some of us had to speak up when it wasn't fashionable, when it cost us work, friends, safety." Meryl's eyes flickered. She straightened in her chair. "Don't you dare imply I haven't risked anything, Whoopi. You don't know what I've faced or what it's cost me over the years. Just because I'm not loud about it doesn't mean I'm not present." The temperature dropped a few more degrees. There was a stunned silence. Even Joy Behar, who usually jumped in with a zinger during tense moments, stayed quiet. The live audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "I didn't come here for this," Meryl said quietly, unhooking her lapel mic. "I came here to talk about a film that I poured myself into for 2 years. I won't be cornered into a political argument I never agreed to have." And then, in a moment that no one saw coming, she stood up. "Meryl," Sonny Hostin said gently, trying to de-escalate. "Let's not end this like." But Meryl had already begun walking off stage. Not storming, not shouting, just walking. Graceful, dignified, but undeniably angry. The sound of her heels echoed like drumbeats across the studio floor. The camera cut to Whoopi, who leaned back in her chair, visibly shaken but not apologetic. "Well," she muttered under her breath, "that went south fast." Producers scrambled behind the scenes, trying to salvage what they could. The live broadcast cut to commercial early, leaving viewers across the country stunned. Within minutes, the incident exploded online, with videos circulating under hashtags like #StreepStorm and #WhoopivsMeryl. But for everyone in the studio, one thing was clear: they had just witnessed one of the most unforgettable moments in live television history. And the storm had only just begun. The fallout from Meryl Streep's dramatic departure from The View was immediate and explosive. Within minutes of the broadcast cutting to an unscheduled commercial, the clip of Meryl removing her mic and walking off the stage had gone viral. Major media outlets picked up the story, and hashtags like #StreepStormSoff, #WhoopivsMeryl, and #ViewMeltdown dominated trending lists across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. On one side of the internet were those who praised Meryl for standing her ground, calling her walk-off a masterclass in grace under fire. Meryl didn't raise her voice, didn't insult anyone. She just knew when enough was enough, one tweet read, racking up over 100,000 likes. Others, however, accused her of avoiding accountability, claiming her silence on political issues was a luxury afforded only to the powerful. You don't get to promote films about justice and then refuse to talk about it in real life, another user posted. The media frenzy put both women under a harsh spotlight. Tabloids speculated about deep-seated rivalries. Pundits analyzed the disagreement like it was a Supreme Court hearing. Every major outlet scrambled to secure exclusive interviews. Neither Meryl nor Whoopi spoke immediately, creating a vacuum that fueled rumors and speculation. ABC issued a brief statement, carefully worded. Greater than, The View has always been a space for spirited, respectful conversation. We regret that a recent episode took an unexpected turn and remain committed to fostering open dialogue. 3 days later, Meryl broke her silence through a statement released by her publicist. It read, Greater than, Ms. Streep values respectful discourse, even when opinions differ. She regrets that her appearance on The View became a moment of division rather than conversation. Her walk-off was not a rejection of dialogue, but a boundary clearly drawn when discussion turns personal. The message was calm but resolute. While many praised the statement's maturity, critics saw it as evasive. Calls for a follow-up interview or a joint reconciliation with Whoopi only intensified. On the next live episode of The View, all eyes were on Whoopi. The studio was unusually quiet when she addressed the controversy directly. I want to say something, Whoopi began, hands folded on the table. Meryl and I had a disagreement. And while I don't take back my opinions, I do regret how it played out on live television. The audience applauded softly. I've always believed in speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. But I also believe in respecting people's right to choose how and when they use their voice. I wish we had found more common ground instead of reaching the breaking point. Co-host Sarah Haynes chimed in. Sometimes, two strong women having a passionate disagreement is exactly what people need to see. It shows that even icons are human. Behind the scenes, though, executives at ABC were not entirely thrilled. Advertisers had expressed concern about the controversy overshadowing the show's usual format. There were internal discussions about how to prevent future clashes of this magnitude. Over the next few weeks, Meryl remained largely out of public view. Her film, ironically, saw a surge in interest, with box office numbers climbing as viewers rushed to see the project that had sparked so much controversy. Critics called it one of her most powerful performances in years, an exploration of courage, silence, and moral conflict that now seemed oddly prophetic. Then came the twist no one expected. 6 months later, on a chilly November morning, The View aired what appeared to be a routine episode. The hosts discussed politics, pop culture, and Thanksgiving recipes. But during the final segment, the show's theme music faded, and Whoopi leaned forward. Before we go, she said with a small smile, we have a surprise guest. The audience gasped as Meryl Streep walked onto the stage. The studio erupted in applause. Whoopi stood up and walked over, giving Meryl a warm hug. No words were exchanged in that moment, just a gesture that said more than any press release could. When they sat down, the mood was lighter, more open. Meryl smiled and addressed the audience. I wasn't sure I'd come back, she admitted. But time gives you clarity. And I think we owe it to ourselves, and to all of you, to show that disagreement doesn't have to mean disconnection. Whoopi nodded. We didn't agree then, and maybe we still don't. But that's the beauty of honest conversation. It's messy. It's real. The two women went on to have a thoughtful, respectful dialogue, not about who was right or wrong, but about how public figures navigate responsibility, influence, and individuality in an era of scrutiny. By the end of the segment, the audience stood again, not for drama, but for reconciliation. In a time when public feuds often escalate endlessly, the sight of two legends choosing grace over ego felt rare, and, in its own way, revolutionary.